We are live. What's up, everyone? Great to see you. Great to see you. Can I speak? Great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Lots to go over today. Lots of new updates to do with like the economy and tariffs and the crypto market. And oh my goodness, it's been such a busy morning researching all this stuff. So excited to go over it all with you. We're also going to answer some questions. Good to see you, Richie. Richie Ignition here first. Crypto J505. What's up, man? Humble Beast in the house. Ariana is here. Great to see you, Ariana. Joel of White Run. That is a dope name, actually. White Run. Hello from Oklahoma. XRP millionaire in the making here. I'd love to hear that, Joel. Strong, man. Good to see you, Carl. What's up, Carl from Belgium? We got a Vin Mato. What's up, Vin Mato? Chipper Sensei, you're from Arizona. Great to have you from Arizona. We have Vin checking in from, where's Vin from? Malaysia. Great to have you here. Vin, already have a few hundred of you guys here. What's up, Justin? Great to see you, bud. The One is here. Rick is here. London is here. LAX is here. Samuel's here. Great to see you guys. Russell, what's up, Russell? T-Fox. All right, guys. So glad you're with me today, man. If you guys get any value out of what I'm doing up here, please like and share the space. That is a way that you can thank me. If you guys want to take that a step further, you can always donate to the channel here live on YouTube if you feel like you want to. All right, so we are looking at a pretty sexy fucking day. Excuse my French, but let's look at this. Bitcoin is up 8% at 104,000. Okay. Ethereum is up 49%. What? So basically, last year, Ethereum has been down 50%. It regains all of it in a day. Wow. Gotta love that. XRP is up 19.6% at $2.56. If you're asking me, Sensei, you still buying XRP? The answer to that is I just bought some. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Solana here up 24% at 142. BNB is also on the rise. You have Dogecoin up almost 40%. People are crazy. Cardano is up 23%. Sui is back to $4. Chainlink up 28%, guys. It is just insane. Look at all of this green. What is the most? Look at this. Pi Network up 131% in the top 100. That is the number one up coin. Then you have some meme coins. Dog with Hat up. Pepe or Brett up. Pepe up. Gala Games up 50%. Gala's been struggling lately. Man, has it ever. Wow. And a lot of layer twos. Look at this. Arbitrum, Optimism. Wow. Celestia's up 40%. It looks pretty good when you're taking a look at the market right now, doesn't it? Looks pretty good. Feels pretty good. Hope you guys are making some money. What's up, AK? Good to see you, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you as always. Let's keep it going here. So, Donald Trump and his team just visited Saudi Arabia, and there were some updates with some policies and things like that. I'll let Trump tell you. Let me please.
We just reached a historic trade agreement with the United Kingdom, and over the weekend we reached a breakthrough agreement with China. Both outstanding deals. China's agreed. We have to get it down. We have to get the little details down. And Scott, you're going to work on that very hard, but China's agreed to open up to the United States for trade and everything else. But they have to do it, so we'll see what happens. But we had a very, very good meeting with both of those countries. We are
all right. So said lots happening. Said a deal with China. Said a deal with the UK from last week. And then we're going to talk a lot about the economy stuff towards the end of the chat, though. But it says Bhutan just became the world's first nation to accept Bitcoin as crypto payments for tourism. Take a look at this adoption.
So implementing this national level crypto payment system, it's a small country, sure, it's a small start, but tell me the vision behind this. Is Bhutan a test bed for what you're going to do in many other countries around the world?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's another key milestone. I mean, this initiative represents another key milestone in terms of crypto adoption and deployment globally. What it does is, travelers and tourists going forward can make use of a very seamless, very cost-efficient way of paying locally everything from things like flights, accommodations, meals, even your local tour guides, and when you're buying from local merchants in Bhutan, right? So it's another big initiative by Kingdom of Bhutan. It's powered by Binance Pay, and we work locally with the DK Bank to bring this about.
So Binance, powered by Binance, you heard that? That's interesting. Binance working with Bhutan to bring, crypto and Bitcoin payments. Love to see it. There was also this. Crypto Erie posted this. Does Ripple have to convince the XRP army? This is more clips from the May 6th Chainalysis video with VP Jas Takar. Let me play some of this for you.
XRP army, who could be comprised of anonymous cartoon characters and Twitter profiles and Discord characters. What is that like, and how do you sort of build consensus in this very free-flowing, decentralized world?
Yeah, so I would answer that question first by saying there's the decentralized community of node operators that actually vote on amendments. And so these are large institutions, these are academic institutions around the world, and also to some extent, reputable individuals that know how to run nodes. So they operate nodes globally as part of the decentralized network. And like I said, there's concept of a group of node providers that actually vote on amendments. So they vote on the changes. And I think there's 34 of them at the moment. So 80% of them have to vote yes on an amendment for more than 2 weeks for it to be activated on the network. So there's that side of the community, which is the node operator community. And then there's I think in the classical terms, the XRP army. And these are just holders of XRP, incredibly passionate bunch of people around the world.
Hell yeah.
Hold the token. And to be fair, during the SEC lawsuit, really came out and stood by the XRP ledger, XRP, and Ripple, the company. It was just phenomenal to see that community. And to have such an engaged and active community behind the XRP and the XRP ledger only helps moves its vision along.
Yeah, I mean, we did play a vital role in making sure that the SEC was shown in the light that they were the ones in the wrong. They were the ones making critical errors, and it worked out. It worked out for once. It worked out that the good side won and the bad side obviously didn't win, which was nice. All right, so here is Elon, Trump, a bunch of people in Riyadh for this May 13th celebration. Let me play this. Yeah, Sam Altman here. AMD CEO, guy from NVIDIA. Larry Fink. Jesus. There's Jane Fraser, CDS CEO. So there's all kinds of really incredible people at this event. Must be one hell of a party. All right. One of the best builders in the XRP ecosystem, Anados Finance. Thank you, Winchester XRP, for spending time sharing some ideas. What I want you to get from this clip, guys, is DeFi is finally being brought to the XRP ledger. For a very long time, developers avoided building on the XRP ledger because it didn't have the legal clarity that other chains had, right? Or it didn't have this big lawsuit hanging over it. Now that is being put behind us and we're moving on from that, developers are starting to come back. And here is some of the things that are being developed and built right now.
People don't need to know, like, for example, what type of a combustion engine this is that you're driving. Like, they just want to get in, put the key and drive. We're making something that we're referring to as the killer app. So this is going to help a lot of small businesses. I don't want to give out too much yet because we're still like figuring it all out, but this is to help small businesses save a lot of money, manage their money. So for example, do their payroll, help them with stock, all at the fingertips without needing to know, what are my keys and how do I get into my wallet? It's something very simple.
All right. We'll have more updates when we get them. Also here, $1 trillion USB bank just said their rich clients are now buying Bitcoin and crypto. Check this out.
Alternative is not just private market, and also hedge fund, commodity, and crypto. Interestingly, recently when I talked to some of the traditional family offices, they were telling me they are now looking at allocation of 5% in crypto. That's the reason why even traditional banks like us, I have to make sure we get our platform ready to take on this opportunity. So I think definitely opportunity.
Yeah.
You haven't been in a bull market where institutions are basically buying in 5% of their allocation of their funds. This is going to be extremely interesting. And this is what we're talking about, a move from, 2-3 trillion to 100 trillion. There's still 97 trillion to come over the next 10 years of value. You're also seeing some updates on Virtual's protocol. Staking Virtual is now live. By locking Virtual, users will receive Virtual to vote escrowed versions of the token, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you're interested in this, I'm not going to go through all this, but I just want to let you know that staking is now available. I know Virtuals is something that we've been speaking about for a long time in the Cryptonaires community. I know some of you are still holding on to your Virtuals tokens. So just understand that this is here if you want it. Okay. I thought this was kind of cool. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I don't know what's going to happen with this. This could be like something that's super scammy, or this could be something that really takes off because people are weird like that. But this is Noodle.gg, play Noodle. So here, let me just show you what this looks like. Oh, I can't do it on my computer. Oh, snaps. Okay, hold on. Here you go. So this is what it looks like. Let me share my screen again. So this is what it looks like. I gotta turn off the music because it's gonna freaking ban me. But you basically go and attack other snakes and take their money. I don't know how it all works, but I know the market cap was kind of starting to. Let me just show you this deck screener. This was at a few $1 million when I looked at it yesterday. Let me see here. What is it at now? Could be lower. Oh no, it actually went up. This is actually, I sent this to my team to take a look at yesterday. It was about 4 million, 5 million. This is at 8 million now. Here is the token. 8.8 Noodle.gg. This was at $20 million earlier. Wow. Wow. I was right. I sent this to the team right in here yesterday. Man, that would have been a pretty nice, like right in here. 158% move. Anyways, I thought that this was actually pretty cool. I wanted to show you guys this Noodle.gg. If this thing does take off, I could see something like this going to 100 million market cap pretty easily. But it also, there's not a lot of data, right? This could be a total scam, right? There's only 4 posts on it. So that's what I'm saying. Please be careful. This is super, super risky. I haven't put any money into this. I just noticed that some of these things tend to do pretty well in digital asset space if they're adopted. So just trying to point out Noodle.gg to you. Also, Dubai is becoming a global capital for tokenized economies. A closed door cross-sector discussion alongside leaders from MasterCard, Current Bhatia, and top-tier VASPs, Ripple and top-tier VASPs, 4 trillion today, over 30 trillion by 2030. That is huge, huge numbers. Also, the next wave disruption is coming. Speaker Matthew McDermott, global head of digital assets at Goldman Sachs. Let me show you this.
On that point, where do you see the biggest short-term impact for blockchain in traditional finance, and what is that next wave of disruption going to look like?
Well, I mean, for kind of the US, I think the stablecoin bills that have gone through, the 2 different houses, I think, will have a pretty profound impact. Many have talked about stablecoins being the kind of killer app, but I think if the regulations allow this to be something that can be easily and efficiently adopted by financial institutions, that's something that you may see, kind of more actively used. So it accelerates the use of digital currency for the big players. And I think that, to me, is something that is super exciting and something we're obviously watching very closely. I think more broadly, there's the market kind of infrastructure bill that's kind of been focused on towards the end of the year. So kind of institutions like us, permissibility is kind of key. So that ability to, be able to potentially trade, kind of, or at least use stable coins and then touch the underlying on balance sheet, have that permissibility to do that. So I think there's kind of two kind of key steps there, just the way that they're kind of the administration's sequencing it, but I think both are exciting.
What do you think it's going to mean for financial markets and financial services?
I think it's a really good question. And I think when you think about what is the driver for us investing and spending time, in that part of our business, I think kind of resilience is kind of key. You just look at kind of a lot of the way the markets operate today, there's very strict kind of cutoff times. This ability to actually kind of execute transactions when you need them to happen to the minute, hugely powerful, particularly in the context of intraday. So I think that's kind of resiliency. I also think risk, we've kind of talked, this is kind of key. Risk, when you look at kind of collateral markets, there's a lot of kind of embedded risk that sits in those. This technology allows you to reduce significantly a lot of that. And, that can be through just more seamless allocation of collateral, be that money market fund tokens, for example, or tokenized treasuries. And you can do that with a T+0 pricing. A lot of today's derivatives and other kind of financial instruments are collateralized with products where the pricing is probably T+1, T+2. So you need to hold kind of bigger buffers to obviously kind of, manage that risk. This ability to be more seamless with the allocation of collateral becomes very powerful. And then I think, the other one is transparency. As we look to kind of, looking at the speakers, the next few days, you've got a lot of the buy side, and there's a big focus kind of on, private funds and a whole slew of other different types of funds. And that is super interesting because if you can tokenize and really kind of scale, that marketplace, that really opens up a new investor base and the ability to kind of airdrop data and things. People can all seamlessly get real-time data, which, just isn't as efficient, today in many different markets. And then you can probably see how that can start to be traded more actively. So I think there are a number of different things there, but there's a lot of exciting development.
All right, really quickly, I did see somebody left a comment and what's it called? Let me just go to this really quickly. Mike Williams, thank you so much for the is that euros? I think it's euros. I always get euros and pounds mixed up. I do apologize. But it says, can you talk about Mto the Mouse, please? Who is Mto the Mouse? Mto the Mouse. Mto the Mouse. I don't know what Mto the Mouse is. Hold on. Let me see here. What is Mto the Mouse? Mto Mouse is a character featured in art prints designed for baby and kids rooms. I have no idea what you're talking about, my man. I just don't know what that is, but I appreciate the $2. Good to see you. How's it going? Hi, beautiful sensei. Oh, thank you. Oh, so nice of you. Thank you. Just kidding. What's up? Love from Germany. Mike Williams, great to have you, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Let's see here. Coin is called Mto. Look on Coinbase. Okay, so the token is called Mto. Okay. All right. Hold on. Okay. I'm with you. I'm here with you. Okay. This is it. Is this what you want me to look at on Ethereum? Mto the Mouse. Let's take a look here. Mto the Mouse is, here. Let's see. Mto the Mouse CTO, community takeover. Usually when somebody's rug something, the community takes it over. So was this originally a rug and then the community took it over? I don't know. Let's take a look at the website here. Here's the website. Yeah, look at the surprise. I don't like it when we got million, billion, trillion. So it's got 420 trillion tokens. Oof. I don't know, man. This is not something that I will be investing any of my money into, I don't think. But hey, if this is something you like, knock yourself out. I wish you the best of luck. Dearly, I wish you the best of luck. I hope it works out. Seems a little sus, Alex. He does it. Does seem a little sus. It does seem. It's not something that I'm going to be investing in. Sorry, but thanks for bringing it up, guys. I'm glad we can look at it together. And $5 would give me 3 billion tokens. But yeah, you're getting 3 billion tokens out of 420 trillion. So you're not even getting like 0.001% of the token supply. So, you don't really have much there. You don't have much at all there. But it might be worth a risk to you. whatever your risk tolerance is. I'm just not putting money into stuff like this at this point. I'm waiting for better things. There's so many better assets right now that are available. You know, I'm not going to be buying Mto the Mouse. Okay. Investors are calling this the greatest wealth transfer in decades. So, you know, I don't need to play this. I don't need to play this. Songbird is actually going live tomorrow, it looks like, with F assets. Let me show you this. I mean, it's just a bird flying. So we are aiming for XRP version 1.1 to go live on Songbird tomorrow, which is Wednesday. That's pretty cool. And then I played this in a video that I just made. It's not out yet, but you know, I really want to take this question to you, the audience. Do you believe we are still in a 4-year cycle, or do you think the 4-year cycle is over? Here is All in Crypto. He is talking with Smoke Dog, and they're giving their opinions on, is the 4-year cycle over? And I think this is something that we should have a conversation about. Let me play this.
I always get this question: when should I sell? And one common answer that people give is, oh, well, just sell when historically the time for the bull market's been up, and then we go into a bear market until the next halving, and we start to, you know, and I kind of think that's naive, because that works until it doesn't. And if you look at what's driven crypto today,
taking profit at the height works until it doesn't, is what he said, which didn't quite make sense to me, but okay.
What's going to drive it moving forward is going to be vastly different. And this is the usage and utility that we're talking about, and the acknowledgement of that, and the actual transferring of wealth that's going to come on the back end of that. So do you envision that we are no longer going to follow, and you can't say this with 100% certainty, but you can certainly say, I don't, you know, opinion wise, I don't think we're going to continue to follow the 4-year cycle. Do you think we're now moving away from a 4-year cycle driven cryptocurrency market to a usage and utility one, and that the 4-year cycle may be a thing of the past, perhaps barring Bitcoin?
I will say with 100% certainty that we're moving away from the 4-year cycle. There's many data points, there's many pieces of evidence that shows, even if you look at the performance of this cycle, it's performing very uniquely compared to previous cycles. And that is primarily due to the participation of institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds. Previous cycles were driven 100% by speculation. Retail investors, even if you can call them a few, you know, thousands of millionaires retail investors. They aren't financial institutions. They don't run, you know, the biggest regulatory bodies in the world. And now the biggest regulatory bodies in the world are finally entering the crypto market, finally regulating this market. And the largest players in this market that have never touched this market are touching it for the first time.
So I'll ask you guys, is the 4-year cycle over? Like, are these guys right? We don't have to worry about a bear market anymore. Just straight up from now on. Is that it? You sell when you have met your goals and be happy with your decision. I like that. Follow the M2 money supply. It leads to the crypto market. Cycle is spread longer this time. I understand that. But they're not saying the cycle is spread longer this time. They're saying that the 4-year cycle is over, right? That's what they're saying. So I'm wondering, is that what you think? Is the cycle, are we done with cycles? My hardest part when I hear that is even the stock market, which has been around for 100 years, goes through cycles, has, you know, bull markets and it has bear markets. So it's hard for me to not imagine there's going to be a time in the near future that the crypto market is going to suffer because of maybe a recession or another problem. Okay. The one thing is certain, whether it happens this year, you know, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, we will experience more slowdowns in the economy. We will experience recessions. We will experience maybe another COVID-19 situation. All right. And so in those times, the markets are just going to keep going up. I don't quite agree with that just yet. I also don't think that, you know, in order for this plan of no cycles to really take shape, you're missing one key important piece, which is regulation in the United States. Without regulation in the United States, which is the largest financial market in the world, are banks and all of these institutions really going to be coming in at the levels that those people think they're going to? I don't know, man. It's really difficult. It's really difficult for me to think that's still not going to be some cycles here. Approvals and ETFs don't follow a cycle. Okay. All right. Fair enough. What else we got here? Red Panda says that's scary. I have a liquidity sell coin, not selling my XRP or his ISO. All right. Fair enough. Let's see here. NVIDIA says, I think we decouple Bitcoin from alts. That's a real possibility. I like that. I like that. Silence says, why sell when you can't take any credit on your crypto? All right. I like that. And just remember, like what Silence is saying here, that when you're taking credit from your crypto, there's companies in the blockchain space where you can give them some of your crypto and they will give you a loan for that crypto. But you always want to make sure the terms and conditions that you are getting this loan, what are they? There's going to be situations where you can get totally liquidated and lose all your crypto if certain things are met. So just understand that does come with some risk, but good idea. Let's see. Duke says we can't peg ourselves to any cycle. XRP is a unique asset. Well, I'm not just talking about XRP. I'm talking about digital assets in general, right? Because, I remember in 2021, I was hearing the same thing. People said the same thing. We're not going to have a 4-year cycle. And sure enough, we had a 4-year cycle. We did. And I was like, what? It came out of nowhere. But that happens. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. 8 years, 2 cycles. It hasn't even established itself. It's been a little longer than 8 years and 2 cycles though, right? Because it's been around since 2009. So it's been actually more than 2, right? We're actually, if you're counting 2021 and that's 2 cycles, but you also have 2018, you have 2012 to 14, 16 to 18, et cetera, et cetera. But a cycle is like a 4-year cycle. That's what we're talking about, a 4-year cycle. So every 4 years, you're going to get a bear market. Every 4 years, you're going to get a bull market and whatever in between. I see that we're a little bit all over the place on this. All right. Let's see here. The next pandemic will happen that's worse than C19 and people will only want crypto. John Hill is talking about a global pandemic where crypto solves everything. I kind of like this pandemic. I do. I don't know what type of pandemic it is, but I'm liking what I'm hearing, John. I'm liking what I'm hearing. Maybe you should be writing some stuff down here. We could set up a national hotline for people to get crypto. XRP will break new ground. And so Duke and I is saying XRP will break new ground. And I expect that US debt will cause a huge drop in all assets and a drop in XRP price at that time. Hold it, because it is breaking into the world of finance in the financial market. Fair enough. All right. I like that. The cycle isn't over yet. The XRP family is missing retail. I love that. Thank you, Arika. Appreciate you. Patrick, what you got to say? Patrick, hi from the Netherlands, Sensei. What's up, Patrick? Thank you for being here, man. Another fake one. What? Jesse Ball. What are we talking about? All right, let's keep it going here then, guys. I think we had a good conversation about cycles. I think it's something to keep an eye on. All right. We have a little bit more stuff here to take a look at. You have Australia just appointed a pro-crypto Andrew Charlton as an assistant minister for digital economy. That's pretty cool. Let me just play a little bit of this.
Cryptocurrency is no longer just an emerging technology. It's an asset that is valued by millions of Australians. It represents a new frontier in finance, enabling innovation, efficiency, and opportunity in ways we could not have imagined just a decade ago. The Australian government values this sector too, recognising its potential to drive economic growth, attract investment, and cement our place as a leader in the digital economy. Digital assets are more than a tool for transactions. They're an asset class in their own right, offering new avenues for wealth creation, financial inclusion, and secure decentralised systems. And Australians have embraced these possibilities, with millions already investing or using cryptocurrency in their daily lives. Now, our government is committed to getting this sector right. We're working to create a regulatory environment that supports innovation on the one hand by managing risks and protecting consumers on the other. And by collaborating with industry leaders, researchers, and global partners, we aim to establish Australia as a safe, transparent, and thriving hub for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology.
I love that. Australia, always looking ahead at the future. A lot of people in Australia actually watch my channel. It's about a 6 or 7% of the total people that watch my channel. So big shout out to the people of Australia. Keep it on. All right, so I want to take a look at some economic data. We've got some good news coming. We've got some some other news coming, and so I want to go through all of this with you. I'm going to try to do this as quickly, as clearly, and precise as I can. All right, so Japan's 30-year government bond yield rose to 2.96%, its highest level in almost 25 years. At the same time, 40-year bond yield reached 3.44, the highest since its debut in 2007. Yields on Japanese long-term bonds have doubled over the past 2 years. This comes as demand for long-term bonds have fallen relative to elevated supply. The Bank of Japan gradually shrunk the size of its balance sheet over the past 18 months, while most major Japan's life insurers have recently reduced their holdings of bonds. Japan is also one of the most indebted countries in the world, with a debt to GDP ratio of 251%. The Japanese bond market is experiencing a structural change, and I will keep you updated when we get more information, but keep that in mind when it comes to Japan. The gap between home asking and sale prices is widening. The typical home seller in the U.S. now wants $38,672 more than the average buyer is willing to pay. So in the United States, depending on what real estate market that you are in the Bay Area where my mom sells real estate, where I used to sell real estate, it has been a seller's market, which means usually the seller is able to ask more aggressive prices and is able to get a better deal for the seller because it is, in fact, less homes on the market, which means buyers have to outbid each other for the home. Now you're switching to kind of a more buyer's market where buyers have more to choose from. They have more control, and they're wanting better pricing. The median asking price hit a record $469,000 in March, or 9% more than $431,000 median sale price, the largest percentage difference since 2020. This comes as home sale prices are growing more than twice as fast as sale prices. This comes as home sale prices are growing more than twice as fast as sale prices. The median list price jumped 6.2% year over year in March, and the most since September 2022. At the same time, the median sale price increased 2.5%, the smallest rise since September 2023. It's a truly unusual time for the housing market. So we'll see how all of that turns out. It's not terrible information quite yet, so that's good. And then, of course, this is the reason why Donald Trump probably adjusted his strategy when he was starting to see the stock market going down and the bond market actually going up at the same time. Those are two key areas that is going to put a lot of pressure on what his decision-making capabilities are. It says the bond market is fighting Trump. Despite countless efforts to calm yields, they keep rising. The 10-year note yield is now up 35 basis points in May alone, back at 4.5%. As trade deals are announced, rate cuts are being priced out, giving Powell more of a reason to not cut rates. Again, he believes the bond market is Trump's top economic priority here. Rates are nearly 100 basis points above pre-Fed pivot levels. So I want you to understand here, the Fed has two jobs, okay? Their two main objectives are, one is to control inflation, and one is to, change economic outlook in the United States to help with unemployment. So if the Fed starts to see unemployment rising and inflation rising at the same time, the Fed is going to prioritize inflation always, okay? And what we're starting to see right now is inflation starting to tick up, and we're starting to see, a real possible issue for lowering rates in the future. I think this is why we just had a meeting with the Fed, and the Fed said that they are not wanting to lower rates at this time because they're waiting for more economic data, which they will have next month. And also, Jerome Powell said that he doesn't believe in 2025 that we will be able to bring the rate, the base rate that everyone is paying down anymore. There were supposed to be 2 more rate cuts in 2025, but that has since been taken off the table. Of course, anything can happen if unemployment starts to really skyrocket. The Fed might be forced to drop rates, but we will see how all of that unfolds. But here you go, shocking stat of the day. The share of the lowest income Americans aged 20 to 64 having credit card accounts with debt that is 90 days plus past due rose 16% in Q1 2025, the highest in 22 years. Basically, what they're saying is low income households in America, ages 20 years old to 64 years old, are having credit card debt problems where they're over 90 days late on a payment. With a credit card, basically what happens is you go out, you use your credit card, and every month you get a billed statement. Interest is calculated every month on how much money is charged on the credit card, and then you have to pay what you've charged, and then you have to pay the interest. When you go, 60 days late, 90 days late, this is ruining people's credit as well, which will make it more difficult for any of these people to participate in buying a home or renting something, things like that. If you need a credit check to do that, this will just nuke your credit. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us were young, young and stupid at one time, and we got, I know that, speaking from experience, when I was young, I got my hands on a few credit cards and put myself in debt a few different times, knowing what I do know now. I probably would have never let that happen, but I just didn't know what I didn't know when I was in my young 20s. This percentage has risen by 6 points over the last 3 years, according to the St. Louis Fed. Additionally, the proportion of the highest income people aged 20 to 64 with credit cards that are 90 plus days delinquent hit 6%, the highest in 21 years. As a result, the share of Americans aged 20 to 64 having credit card debt that is seriously delinquent hit a record 11%. So 1 out of every 10 people in the United States have impoverished credit card debt and are behind on their credit card bills, which is quite a large portion of the population. It says, meanwhile, the share of credit card holders aged 20 to 64 years old whose debt is 30 days delinquent reached 12%. So you have 90 days delinquent here, and you have 30 days delinquent. As you're starting to see more people go 30 days, unless something changes dramatically for their lives, where they're making more income or something like that, they get a second or third job, they're going to be 60 days late and 90 days late. And this information could get worse. I'll keep a close eye on it for you. You also have a deal that was, you had Scott Bassett, the treasurer of the United States. He traveled to Geneva, Switzerland last weekend, and he sat down with his Chinese counterparts, and they negotiated what they called a good deal. And so I have the exact numbers of what was negotiated, so I can give you that exact information in just a second. But there's also, on some of these poly markets, they are predicting that there is a less chance that you're going to get 2 interest rate cuts. It's happening less and less. So we'll have more information on that soon here too. But hedge funds are becoming more bearish on the US dollar. Not speculative exposure on US dollars has dropped to negative 20 points, the second lowest level in 2 years. This is a sharp reversal from the 35% plus seen in January and the most bullish positioning in 9 years. This comes as the US dollar index has declined 7.5% year to date, and it's near its lowest since April 2022. Across all major currencies, the euro has gained the most during this time at a 9.7% plus, followed by the Swiss franc, which surged 9.3%, the Japanese yen, which jumped 7.9%, and the British pound increased 6.3%. And here are the currencies that are seeing extreme volatility. So this is also something, right? Depending on where you live and where you have your money. If your money is invested in currency or treasury bonds that are backed by currency, you might be looking to get into stuff like Bitcoin or gold or other assets that are not, fluctuating as sharply And so, there's just more and more here. So investors are reducing their equity allocations. Individual investors' asset allocations to stocks dropped 6 percentage points over the last 2 months to 64%, the lowest since 2022 bear market, according to the AAII survey. This is exactly in line with its long-term average of 64%. At the same time, fund managers' estimated allocation fell 3 percentage points to 55%, the lowest since 2020. By comparison, their long-term average equity allocation is 57%. A lot of capital remains sidelined. So basically what this is saying is a lot of these bigger institutions and firms are keeping cash on the sidelines, waiting to see how all of this pans out. Global trade is declining, though. If we take a look here at the global PMI, new export orders index dropped 2.6% in April to 47.5, the lowest since the end of 2022. This marks the sharpest decrease since August 2023, including March goods exports have declined continuously since the second half of 2024, according to the S&P Global. Additionally, the manufacturing future output index fell to its lowest levels since October 2022. Meanwhile, global services exports contracted for the first time since the end of 2023, making the steepest contraction since December 2022. Basically, what this means is global trade is slowing. And then you also have, Microsoft cutting 3% of its workforce. I wanted to better understand how many employees 3% of Microsoft workforce is. I asked Perplexity to give me some of the numbers here. Microsoft is cutting 6,000 employees, which will represent 3% of its global workforce. As of June 2024, Microsoft employed 228,000. So not a huge amount of people, 3%, but this is, they could obviously go to 5% or 10% if if something should happen. And I wanted to also look at some other large companies in the US. Are they cutting off jobs as well? Tech sector remains firm, including Amazon, Google, Meta, Salesforce, and IBM have all announced significant layoffs in 2024 and 2025. For example, Google and Meta have both implemented workforce reductions as part of restructuring and cost-cutting measures, often citing the integration of artificial intelligence and automation. So this might not have to do with all with tariffs and stuff like that, but with tariffs and these trade deals, and of course with automation and AI, this is cutting into some people's job skills, and less work will be available for some of these more factory jobs. You also have retail and logistics companies like UPS cutting 20,000 jobs. Big Lots, Joann's Fabrics, and Party City have announced large layoffs, often in response to economic pressure and tariffs. There it is. And changing consumer behavior. You also, when we're talking about finance and consulting firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers, 1,500 jobs. Morgan Stanley and other management consultations have reduced headcount due to the low attention rates and margin pressures. Other sectors layoffs have also hit manufacturing, Volvo, General Motors, Mercedes, airlines like Southwest, and even healthcare and education's platforms like John Hopkins. And so here is some of the sectors and some of the jobs that have been lost over the recent last few weeks. Just wanted to give you some more data so you know what you're looking at here. It just doesn't look too bad just yet. So keep that in mind. Layoffs are a natural evolution of a company as new technology is created, and there's more efficient ways to do things. If you can cut out, if you can do something with 2 people instead of having a team of 6 people, obviously, you're not going to need as many people. So I will keep a close eye on this, and I will update you. There's also a few other things I want to talk to you about. U.S. executives are getting more concerned about the economy. The share of the S&P companies mentioning recession during their Q1 2025 earnings call spiked to 23%. So basically, out of the total S&P 500 companies, 23%, which is going to be very close to 120-ish companies, think that, or they mentioned a recession during their first Q1 2025 earnings call, which has gone up highest since 2022. This percentage has surpassed levels recorded in all years between 2008, 2020, except for 2010. So basically, the numbers that I just read to you, this 23% is actually worse than what things looked like back in 2008 and 2020, which is kind of strange. Additionally, 62% of U.S. CEOs either expect a slowdown or a recession. So 6 out of 10 US CEOs either think it's going to be a slowdown or a recession over the next 6 months, according to the Chief Executive Group's April survey of 329 US CEOs and business owners. 14% of the respondents said that they would anticipate a severe recession. So that's pretty interesting. And more layoffs are coming this year, ? Probably, most likely. If these numbers do reign true, you will get more layoffs. You also have a global debt soared 7.5 trillion in Q1 2025 to a record 325 trillion. Emerging markets accounted for 50% of the jump. The total EM debt hitting a record 106 trillion. China was the primary driver of the debt increase. The debt levels rising by 2 trillion over the last 2 years. Total world debt has surged by a whopping $20 trillion in 2 years. $20 trillion more debt globally. That is pretty crazy, which this is saying in 5 years, you could be looking at in 10 years, you could be looking at another $100 trillion in debt globally, which is just insane. Meanwhile, the global debt to GDP ratio fell slightly to 325%, the lowest since 2020. However, the ratio for emerging markets hit a record 245%. The debt crisis is a global issue. So this is also something countries are dealing with. And then also crypto funds posted $882 million net inflows last week, which is marking the 4th consecutive weekly inflow for the crypto market. I think that's why you're starting to see everything pumping so hard. You are getting people taking money out of maybe the stock market or some other areas, maybe the bond market, and putting it into more speculative assets. Bitcoin funds accounted for the majority of these inflows at 867 million. Year to date, investors have poured a whopping $6.7 billion into crypto funds. As a result, US listed ETFs have recorded cumulative net inflows of 62.9 billion since the launch in January 2024. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has risen 28% since April 7th low. Bitcoin is preparing for all new time highs. You also have U.S. manufacturing is actually slowing. The U.S. Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index dropped 38.9 points in April to a negative 26.4, the lowest since April 2023. This is also the second lowest level since 2020. New orders fell 42.9% to a negative 34.2, the lowest level since April 2020. Basically, what's happening here, guys, is factories all over the United States have started to slow way down to levels right as what you were seeing during when everybody was forced to be at home, right? That level of output when nobody was in factories working is basically what we are recreating right now with the current issues with the economy. All right. In the past, such as a large decline in new orders has never occurred outside of a recession. So what they're saying is the data that they are seeing has never occurred outside of a recession. So realistically, it would make sense that we are already actually in a recession. We probably just don't have the data and the economic data to show us that yet. But I would imagine once we get it at the end of Q2, it is going to be 2 negative quarters back to back of GDP growth, and that is fact a recession. All while the prices paid index jumped 51 points, its highest level since July. More evidence more evidence of stagflation probably. And then you also have a few other things here. This is actually good news. April CPI inflation falls to 2.3%, below expectations of 2.4%. So they're almost at that 2% goal. Core CPI inflation was 2.8, in line with expectations of 2.8. This marks a third straight monthly decline in headline inflation. Inflation continues to cool down despite the trade war. I do think some of the numbers, though, that we have been created over the last, because remember the trade war stuff started in April, and so I don't know if we have the full effects of all of that, because you did have a lot of companies preloading content, shipping over a ton of stuff to get ready for the tariffs. So we don't really know what that's going to look like with this current data. So don't let that, just understand that. And then it says this marked the smallest year-over-year increase in CPI data since February 2021. Furthermore, this is the first set of inflation data inclusive of April 2nd reciprocal tariffs. All eyes are on the Fed. Oh my God, it's so hard to go through all that data back to back to back. But what I wanted to go through here is here. This is what I want to show you this. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what happened, and I will come back and answer questions in just a second. Oh, you know what? Somebody gave 50. Let me find this. Where's this? Someone gave 50. Is that $50? Thank you, Darius Palmore. Thank you for the $50. Is it $50 donation? MX50, whatever it is. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hard to follow the chat with so many bots and spam. That's why we need regulations. I do think our team is trying to work on that. No, yeah, we ban a lot of the spammers. So I do apologize about that. If there's any mods that are in the chat, can you work on banning some of these people with the, what's it called? I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I tend to ban all these people and they get mad when I do it. So we'll work on it. They're killing the bots. Nice job. Yeah, we always kill the bots. It does end. Sorry about that, guys. Our channel does a really good job about deleting comments, and that pisses off the scammers even more. And, you know, our team, I have 2 people that work on banning comments. But what I want to show you this, let's not get too distracted by this. I'm going to ban this person. Let's do this. I want to show you something really important. Okay. So, this is something that was worked on. Okay. What I wanted to understand was, because Trump's first term, there were some tariffs put on China. Then in Biden's term, Biden kept some of the tariffs, and then he did some of his own tariffs. And then I wanted to see, you know, Trump round 2, what the difference in tariff prices were. So I asked, you know, basically in clear terms, what were the tariffs on China under Trump's first term and under Biden's first term and Trump's second term. So here are the numbers. So Trump's first term, broad sector escalation, he brought tariffs to about 19.3%. Okay. During Biden's tenure, he had targeted increases, and there's about a 20.8% domestic tech and manufacturing. And then Trump had the maximum pressure, 145% peak. And now we've worked our way back down to a 30%. So I want you to see where it used to be, where Biden had it, and now where it's sitting with the new Trump administration. So it's actually still higher than what China has experienced over the last few years, about 30% higher than what it was under Biden or Trump's first term. I also wanted to understand why, what were tariffs put on mostly? And this actually broke down all of that really interesting information. So Trump's first term, Section 304 tariffs initiated a trade war with 25% tariffs on $50 billion worth of Chinese goods, expanding 10%, $200 billion raised later. Average tariff rate increased to 3.1 to 19.3 on Chinese imports by 2020. Phase 1 deal temporarily paused further escalations, but failed to secure promised Chinese purchases. So, I guess the Chinese promised Trump that they were going to do something, and to lessen the tariffs. The Chinese never did. So Trump kept it all the same. Then the Biden administration comes in, and then they keep on some of the Trump era tariffs, averaging 19.3%. But then they also did targeted increases on EVs. So 100% on EVs. If you're not familiar, China's BYD company does have a lot of electric cars, a lot of really low priced options. And I feel like if those options were available to American consumers, they would, you would be able to undercut Tesla by thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on those cars. And so I think that's what the Biden administration was afraid of. And they didn't want American companies, like GM and Ford, to have to compete against Tesla's EVs in the United States. So that's why the Biden administration kept those on tariffs on EVs, solar cells, and 25% on critical minerals. And then strategic focus emphasized domestic manufacturing and clean energy and tech sectors while avoiding broad tariff wars. And then here is Trump's second term, 10% base tariff on all Chinese imports, and then it went to 145%. So cooler heads prevailed. They both got into a room. They brought the amount down to 30%. So this is going to absolutely have, some consequences on some goods. If there is not, 30% or 10%, whatever, worth of profit in those goods, either those goods are going to have to come over more expensive, or those goods just won't come over. So, we're hopefully trade can continue, but all of this could be changed in an instant. Obviously, if China escalates the war with Trump and Trump puts on, there is a 90-day pause on China and this 115%, but you still have this 30% on all goods. So if you have been to Costco recently and you've noticed like you're buying the same amount of food, but it's like $30 or $40 more, that's because of the tariffs. Okay. So a lot of actually good news with the economy, a lot of news that, stuff that we should be paying attention to, but it's really good that the Trump administration was able to get a deal with China. Hopefully that deal stays. Okay. Because the one thing I was getting worried about was, let me show you this. The one thing that I was starting to bring up in these chats here, let me bring this up here. I need to bring up two things. Trump trade tariffs slump widens to nearly all U.S. exports. All right, so that I need this. 1 second, I need to pull up this, and I need to pull up this. In the wake of tariffs, cargo at the port of LA down. All right, so this is what we were seeing late last week. Okay. So ships were not coming in to dock. Okay. Ports in LA and Seattle and everywhere else around the United States were experiencing a huge slowdown in cargo coming in, 35% slowdown in cargo. Okay. So it doesn't really matter what it is, but you're seeing basically a 1/3 reduction in all goods coming into America. That's what you're seeing. So eventually, if these, whatever these goods are, they're not coming in, that are not showing up to the port, those goods will not be there to replenish shelves in some of those areas. So it was a really good job that they were able to get this deal. Let's just hope the deal remains, because Americans, are starting to wonder if in fact they are going to have the ability, to be able to buy goods, right? So in the wake of tariffs, cargo at port of LA is down 35%. You also have, some other economic data that was starting to scare me, and this is why I was bringing it up to you guys, so you really understood this. Here is something else that last week that was, I was paying attention to on May 6th. All exports side that began early 2025 has reached most ports across the U.S., with nearly all export market products as the trade impact on President Donald Trump's tariffs worsen, with agricultural the hardest hit. As business cancel orders from China, U.S. imports continue to plummet, with a 43% week-over-week drop in containers through April 28th. Look at this. Check this out. The port of Portland, Oregon tops the list with a 51% decrease in exports. So this is also what you got to understand here is it's not just things coming into the country that will be less on our shelves. This is also going to affect American companies sending stuff to China and to other countries, right? American businesses are selling their products globally, and some of these tariffs have affected that. And so you're seeing a 51% decrease in US exports, which is a huge, huge problem. I know some of this stuff isn't really fun to look at and go over, but it does give you a good understanding of what is already happening with what is already happening with the economy slowing down. So it's great that these deals have been announced. Obviously, the goal was 100 trade deals in 90 days. So far, they've announced China deal and the UK deal. So there's about 98 other trade deals, and they've got up until July 9th to get those deals done. Okay. All right. That was a lot. So let's go ahead and answer some of your questions, guys. I think I missed something here from Chasing Potatoes and Steak. Thank you for the $5. I bought 100 shares of XRP Is this smart enough? I'm new to this. So hey, whatever it is you want to do, I think adding XRP is always a good idea. That's my main mentality of what I want to do, is add more XRP. I bought $1,000 worth of XRP. Excuse me. I bought 1,000 XRP earlier today, actually, and I'm trying to add it when I can. So we got 1,472 of you hanging out here in the chat. Let me go ahead and answer your questions. Enough with me just going through all of this news for the past 59 minutes. I have just been talking, so it's good for me to just read down a bit. I mean, the China deal is pretty big. It is absolutely big. It just needs to stay, right? I think it needs to stay. I think we've seen how quickly things can start getting out of hand. So, as long as Trump doesn't feel like he's being cheated, and as long as China doesn't feel like they're being cheated, things should start to work again. I don't know. What do you call it? Things should start happening again. I don't know. There's stuff is still going to be 11%, 10% more expensive than it was, but at least it's not 140%, right? All right. I bought 250 XRP at 187, and I'm not selling anytime soon. Love to hear it, man. Love to hear it. Let's see here. Do you know about the Cardano midnight token airdrop? Cardano midnight. Is that a real thing? Let me look. Let's see.
Cardano users about to receive free crypto from the midnight airdrop.
Midnight will be the single biggest economic event for the Cardano ecosystem in its history. It's going to airdrop to more than 100 million people and build bridges with all the major networks. One of the magical properties of Midnight is that Midnight is like all of you, the builders. It's an asset issued on Cardano. Not ADA, but an asset on Cardano.
What is Midnight? How does Midnight work? How do you qualify for the airdrop? Will this make you rich? And this is Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, talking about the biggest economic event in ADA's history, the Midnight airdrop. But what exactly is a crypto airdrop? A cryptocurrency airdrop is a distribution of digital assets, in this case the Midnight token, to wallet addresses of users to promote awareness of a new coin or token. Now remember what Charles said about Midnight.
Asset issued on Cardano. Not ADA, but an asset on Cardano.
So Midnight is an asset issued on Cardano, and users of Midnight will receive this token airdropped into their crypto wallets. But what is Midnight besides a time of day? Midnight is a privacy-focused blockchain developed by IOG, the team behind Cardano. And this is a way to create a secure way to handle sensitive personal information like medical transcripts or commercial data like payroll information while complying with regulatory requirements. Now that sounds great, but how exactly will that work? Well, here's Charles Hoskinson speaking to Dan Gambardello of Crypto Capital Venture.
So Midnight is a partner chain of Cardano, and it creates that service of programmable confidentiality, but you can sell that capability as a service to other ecosystems as well. So from their perspective, it looks like a layer 2 on their system, even though it ends up settling on Cardano and doing all those types of things.
So we know it will look like a layer 2 for other blockchains, but what are some of these other blockchains? Well, Bitcoin for starters.
And what's beautiful is the very same thing that does Bitcoin DeFi on Cardano by adding Midnight to the list. So you have a tri-hybrid application, 3 blockchains, Cardano, Midnight, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, for the first time ever, can have a privacy layer. How about that?
And we know Charles is working with XRP stablecoin RLUSD.
On what level do you think Cardano and XRP working together? I think we can add amazing DeFi components to XRP. I think they can add a lot of liquidity, and they can add a wonderful stablecoin layer, bridges definitely, and it would be super cool to see if there's a path to get Midnight working with XRP.
So how do we qualify exactly? Well, we know users of Midnight are going to qualify, so that's going to be users of Bitcoin, XRP, and whatever other chains they manage to integrate with. But also, Charles Hoskinson has emphasized that Cardano holders will receive a portion of the Night token, rewarding their loyalty and contribution to the Cardano ecosystem. Then the last question, will it make you rich? Now, as far as price predictions, we don't have enough details to determine that yet, but I'm going to be watching all the Midnight details as they're rolling out. So make sure you subscribe down below, hit that like button. I'm DZ. I'll keep you up to date.
Cardano's.
All right. So let's pull this out. I need this for later, but let's look into see if I can get some actual details of what you're talking about here. Cardano founder confirms Midnight airdrop will reach 37 million people, including XRP holders.
You guys will be holders because you probably at least hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or something. And if you have any of these cryptocurrencies in addition to ADA, you'll getting an airdrop. So there's no ICO, no pre-sale, no.
It looks like you're just going to get the airdrop
this year. And Midnight's going to drop to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, amongst others.
Okay. It sounds like we just got to wait for more information. But it looks like it's real. It looks like it's real. I'm glad we answered that question, though. Do you guys think the Saudi king will help crypto? I mean, they're going to invest some money in crypto, but I don't expect them to be like the all savior of crypto. No. When does the airdrop happen, though? I don't know if it's already happened or if it's going to happen. Let's go to Perplexity real quick. When does the Cardano midnight airdrop happen? On May 2025, the Cardano Midnight Airdrop Initiative announced by Cardano founder confirmed publicly announced date for the token distribution. The airdrop, known as the Glacier Drop, mid-May. It just says mid-May, yo. I don't see an exact date. Oh, Glacier Drop. Let's see. Let's look up the Glacier Drop. Hold on, I'm waiting for this to load. Let's see. Man, there's going to be a lot of action on this for real.
Cardano first and connected to the Cardano ecosystem. Midnight will bring 37 million people into the Cardano ecosystem if everybody participates in the Glacier Drop. That's not small. It's 10 times the population that we have right now. It's one product. And every year we're going to be launching things like that.
This is why I told people Cardano is going to go insane just before. I didn't even know about this, and I was telling you that. Imagine what's going to happen now. This is going to be fucking sexy. It doesn't give you the time, though. Anybody in the chat know the date? It doesn't look like I've seen anyone posting the date. What wallets they are airdropping to? That's not said either, Richard. That's not said either. I would imagine, it's going to work with some of the biggest, wallets, but we don't know. Hold on, let's see if we can find out. What wallets will? I'd have to research it, Rob. I'd have to research it. Let's see here. Other major blockchains. Self-custody. You must control your private key, so it can't be an exchange. Can't be an exchange. Cardano wallets are these ones. You might have to delegate ADA to a stake pool, though, to become eligible, to maximize eligibility. So you can get even more by staking ADA. Some speculation exists that delegation and pools supporting Midnight may be advantageous, but are not yet confirmed. I don't know. It doesn't talk about dates. Doesn't talk about like exact times. We're gonna have to dig it up. I'll find it. I'll find it, man. I love that, man. I hope you kill it. I hope you kill it. Flare airdrop was like years ago, right? Started years ago. Yeah, XRP needs to get past 269 to really push past that resistance to get to $3. So we'll see if it happens. It's it's interesting. It's an interesting time that we're in right now, because usually leading up into summer, things start to slow down in the crypto industry, but it doesn't feel like things are starting to slow down. It feels like things are starting to speed up. So it'll be interesting to see, if it continues to go well through summer, or if, things start to cool down again before, it moves up later on this year. Just have to have patience. Patience is something people very rarely are able to control. You know, it's difficult for sure. Of course. Thank you for being here. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys have any other questions? Anything else you want to talk about? Hello from Norway. Love your show. Appreciate you. Odd. Thank you so much for being here. You're so kind. Thank you. Thank you. Hoping for a slow summer so I can buy more. Yeah, me too, man. I wouldn't mind cheaper prices again, but you know, whatever. Which custodian companies for retail investors are starting to emerge, and what percentage could they offer for our XRP assets? Thanks so much for your daily devotion, Sensei. Big hugs from Switzerland, Alexandre. Well, thank you so much, Alexandre. So it says with custodian companies for retail investors are starting to emerge, and what percentage could they offer? So they're not going to offer money for our assets, but like if you're starting to see institutions coming in that are investing parts of their funds, right? So like what happens usually is you get a bunch of people together and they put all this money into a fund, and then the fund manager decides what they are investing in, right? Like you're basically relinquishing control of your money to this trusted source, and this trusted source usually has a history of good returns. This person is trustworthy, and so you go to them, you give them like $1 million, and then they go invest your money, and then you get a percentage of whatever your money represents in the fund. And so those funds, international funds, domestic funds, they are starting to look at crypto assets as a whole. I would imagine it was going to be mainly like Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and of course, I mean XRP, Solana, and a few others I'm sure will follow suit. We just don't know what the impact of that's truly going to be just yet. All right. But it's exciting, you know, and we'll take some time to understand it. Do you own any XLM? I own some XLM, but it's not a lot. It's not like it's not over $10,000. It's not even close. Maybe it's a few $1,000. I just don't really care about XLM as much as I do XRP. Let's see here. Trump said that he will have earth-shattering news this week. I saw that, right? Well, so the clip you're talking about, it says it's earth-shattering news that doesn't involve the trade war or tariffs, but it involves Canada. So I don't know what that's going to be. You know, I'm hoping it has to be something making like our payment systems interoperable, you know, with maybe some type of DLT solution. But I mean, I'm just wishing for that. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't know what it's going to be. You know, it's hard because like it's very difficult to, you know, a huge thing for Trump could be something that maybe you don't consider huge. So it's really hard to guess what he's going to be talking about, but it has to do with Canada and it has to do with the US. That's all I know. You got scammed on a Flare airdrop? Man, there's a lot of scammers in the crypto industry. Love the new lighting. Thank you, Trevor. I appreciate you. I spent a bunch of money on like lights and you know, key lights and all this other stuff for the last, you know, 30 to 60 days getting like my office all set up, and we're almost there. We're almost there. So thank you. Why when you can own XRP? Yeah, seriously. Something would change this week, which would change everything. I don't think much is going to change this week, man. I don't think so. 51st state, yeah, that's just going to piss off Canada more. Like, I don't know. Canada is, you've already had the PM from Canada say that he's not interested. You know, the people of Canada are not interested, but it looks like Alberta might be going off on their own or something. I don't know. I don't keep up with Canadian politics, but it looks like a tricky situation. Absolutely. Cause like you have to put your, you know, if you're an American, right, and Trump's joking about, you know, Canada becoming the 51st state, you might think it's funny, right? You might think, ha ha ha, you know, but if you're Canadian and you're hearing that, you know, America's looking to, you know, basically make your country the 51st state, you're going to have a different feeling about that. You're probably not going to be super excited about that, right? So I'd say that's a very complicated issue. And, you know, I really don't want to spend any time talking about that. Never say never. I don't know, man. PM's been pretty clear that Canada's not for sale, or Canada's not for what's it called. And I mean, is that really what like, is that what Trump wants to be known for? Like the guy that forced Canada to become a state? I don't know. I thought like Trump was trying to like set his legacy, you know. I don't know. It's not something I would have done, but hey, if he sees value, I don't know, man. Justin, Crypto Sensei, what's your opinion on borrowing against your Bitcoin at a 30% LTV after the bear market is over? I mean, I would only do that situation if like I'm making a move and I need capital. The problem with the bear market is we don't know how low Bitcoin's going to go. And if you think you're at the bottom and you do your loan and it drops another 20, 30%, you might get liquidated. There's always a risk. So just be careful, Justin, you know, just be careful. Do you believe XLM will be a major player in the crypto industry? Yeah, I do. I you know, major. I mean, when it comes to person, I think they're one of the more popular solutions. I just, you know, I only have so much time, right? And I think if you, you know, if you're in the crypto industry, you've researched a crypto project, you know how time intensive it can be to research anything. So to be professional in a few different subjects is quite difficult. Being proficient in 100 coins or 200 coins or 1,000 coins, kind of impossible, right? To know everything that's going on. There's just not enough time. So I stick with what I think is going to have the most value, which is like XRP, HBAR, and some other stuff. What's the story with the adorable baby seal? Okay, so that isn't. You want to see the OG baby seal? Here, hold on. Right back. Hold on. All right. So this is OG baby seal. All right. This was a gift from my wife to me when I was going through a pretty dark time. And, you know, whenever I was having a really bad day, I'd grab the seal and I'd feel better. And then, Thaisa found Papa Seal, which is the bigger version, right, of baby seal. And this is now Luna's seal. And so that is what that came from. And so like, I like seals. And so that is why there's so many different seals on my desk here. So there's like this seal that was on a cake. It's a little cool seal here. And then there's, you know, I'm dropping stuff. Anyways, so yes, that is the story of the seal. That is the OG seal. Papa seal, baby seal, a bunch of seals. Let's see here. Canada being one state doesn't even make sense. How many senators would they have? I don't think that's going to happen, guys. I mean, I just don't think it's going to happen, man. I don't know if Trump's joking or if he's serious. It's really hard to tell sometimes. Any chance we looked into ZBIC? We did this together a few weeks ago, and it looks pretty interesting. What was your career before YouTube? Good question. So before I got into crypto, I was in sales, real estate sales. So I worked in the Bay Area selling homes. And I liked it. You know, I liked it. but there really wasn't like the passion. Like I didn't love it. You know, it was a job. It paid my bills. You know, sometimes you got a good customer, sometimes you got a mean customer, whatever. It paid my bills. And then I found something that I truly, truly enjoyed, and that was crypto. And haven't looked back. Why did Uphold airdrop me Flare today? It could be part of the Flare airdrop. I don't know. I have no idea, brother. Let's see here. Ralph says Trump got this whole crypto thing going, so let's go. Love to hear it, man. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Greetings from Brazil, Sao Paulo. I appreciate your sincerity and sharing what you know, whenever it's positive or not, and for the content you share here. Seriously, let's go. Carpe, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope you are doing great from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Sao Paulo is a beautiful city. I remember, you know, we were going from like airport to airport, and we were in traffic, and you were on this, you know, freeway, and you look up and there's all this beautiful, you know, murals and graffiti and stuff like that. The food is incredible too, man. I'll actually be in Brazil later this year too. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see here. B-Fire says, hey, bro, I'm in Nicaragua surfing this week. Hey, be careful, man. Hope you have a great time. Thank you for checking in. Seal is the deal. Seal is the deal. Seal is the deal. You finally fixed your lighting issue. You look good. Thanks. Yeah, you know, I had so for weeks I was looking for a camera and lighting expert. And you know, I had to go through a few different people to find the right person, but I brought them over to the house on Friday after Sensei Chat last Friday, and they were able to set up all my lighting and the camera and everything perfectly. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So thank you for the comment. I appreciate you. Let's see here. I watch all your videos. Keep it going. You definitely have my attention and enjoy the work you put in and how you go about it. Respect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Fiesta. Thank you for being here, man. Really appreciate you. Let's see here. What is your thoughts on reverse trade and its effect on XRP? Reverse trade. Reverse trade. Reverse trade. Hold on. What is reverse trade? I can't remember hearing the term reverse trade. So let me see what we're talking about here so I can better answer this. Understanding reverse trade in the context. Reverse trade is not a standard term specific to XRP, but it is in the context of trading, especially with cryptocurrencies like XRP. It is closely related to the concept of reversal trading or trend reversals. Oh, okay. Okay. Reversal trading is a strategy where traders attempt to identify points at which the price of an asset, such as XRP, is likely to change direction. So I know there's a lot of strategies people use when it comes to, you know, doing reverse trading. I don't do too much of that. I really don't sit in front of a computer and day trade. So I wouldn't be the right person to ask, but there might be some people in the chat that could have better knowledge. I know some people, you know, look at RSI, some people look at a few different things, but I appreciate you asking. Thanks for sharing your story. This that sealed the deal. Subscribed, KS. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, KS. Thank you. Thank you. Tracy Lynn, thank you for all you do to keep us informed. To the moon, Alice. I love it, Tracy. You have a great week ahead, Tracy. I love the attitude, girl. I love it. Let's see here. Do you have any tips on navigating the crypto world? So, you know, guys, like some people ask, you know, some people want to participate and take like, you know, there's things that you can do. If you're interested in kind of like following my journey, you could always join Cryptonaires, right? Like if you really want to join, you know, maybe a few hundred people that are like you, that are growing in the crypto space, that are looking for opportunities, looking for, you know, guidance, looking for other people who have gone through what you're going through right now to make it a little bit easier so you can ask questions and bounce things off of. There's going to be a link down in the description. Join Cryptonaires. if you want to do that. So that's probably one of the best things that you can do when it comes to working towards joining a crypto community. That's probably something you should look at doing. If it's not Cryptonaires, think about looking at a different community to join. But communities probably are the best way to go, since it's so hard to do stuff by yourself. So if you don't have a good group of friends or people to rely on, sometimes joining a group can make a big difference. So love to have you around. Just let me know if you have any questions. You can DM me on Twitter. You can DM me on Discord. Just make sure that you are talking to the real me. I won't ask you to like transfer money or any of that jazz. So make sure the hip surgery. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Hip recovery is going well. Actually, I was able to walk Luna yesterday for the first time since surgery. So, I'm on the mend. I'm on the mend, man. I'm really excited. So thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate you, bro. Jessa's here. What's up, Jessa? I have $4.98 airdrop on Flare today too. I think it's every month. All right. Yeah, it might be your Flare seal of approval. Thank you, Richie. I appreciate you, Richie. You like seals. I like orcas. You don't even want to know you want to even my desk in my room. Hey, I can imagine. I can imagine. I don't know. Something about this little guy just makes me happy. He used to be more like this color, but he's had a little bit of wear and tear on him. Man, I brought this seal to Brazil, Europe, all over Europe, mainland, of course, Arizona, Las Vegas, helicopter tours, everything. I've taken the seal on all kinds of adventures. All right. We got Japan in the house. Eric D says Japan. What's up? What's up? Powder your forehead. It's glaring. What am I going to do, man? What am I going to do? I could turn down the lights. I'm not going to powder my forehead, though. I put lotion on my forehead, and that's probably what's glowing, but it is what it is. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me turn this down here. So I could do this. Oh. Ooh, there you go. Now it's not flowing off my face. Let's see here. JF says, I'm pleased to see what you do go. Wait, I'm pleased to see what you do go from strength to strength. I think it has a lot to do with your sincerity, which shines through your videos, bud. All the best in the futures as well from England. JF, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the support. There's nothing more important to me than to help people better understand this great evolution in finance that's happening. And maybe you don't have millions of dollars to invest, but I do think that the crypto industry is going to be home to a lot of new millionaires and a lot of people that can change their life in a very short time. You've never had this type of opportunity before. And if I can help people better understand maybe how to make this time the most impactful for their life, man, that's a win-win. So, I'm putting a lot of good energy out into the world, and I'm hoping that good energy is being met with other good energy, and people are learning and growing, and that'll help them with their lives. I think that's the most awesome thing, man. Let's see here. It says Ray Rel. Is it Ray or Rel? It says help from France. Thanks for your job. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Curtis is in the house. Fire, you can reserve on MEXC too. I do use MEXC sometimes. Let's see here. You guys are wild, man. You like seals. I like orcas. I love sperm whales. This is getting kind of out of hand. It's getting out of hand. Powder my nose. It's like you're talking like I was in my 20s or something like that, right? Not much of that, not much of that these days. It seems like you don't like Trump. Tariffs will work, bro. There's some things that he does I don't super enjoy. I just can't get on the bandwagon sometimes. And it's just my personality to push back on stuff. I've always been like that. Yeah, and I do have a problem with some of the stuff that He does. And I hope it does work. I hope it does work. Because like the amount of like pain that the country could go through if it doesn't work, that would be catastrophic. That'd be catastrophic for people. So I hope you're right. I really do. I hope they work. I hope. But thank you for sharing. Michael Brenner, thanks for your help. Full Sensei, no problem. Shine Sensei, shine. You guys are wild. That's better. The glare is gone. Yeah. So you're looking through the camera in my computer, not the camera that I here. So like that's the camera that I usually talk through that you see me through, right? Right. Where is it? There's the camera right there. Anyway, Ondo XDC, great assets. Been talking about talking about XDC since 2021. So, it's been 4 years now. Ondo, connections with BlackRock and other institutions, very important. Great assets. Great assets. This person likes frogs. Kim likes frogs. I think we all kind of have things that we enjoy and like, You should tokenize OG seal. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to split the ownership of my seal up into anyone though. Like, I don't think if you offered me $1 million for this seal, I don't think I would sell this seal for $1 million. I don't think I would. It's like one of those things that just has a different level of, appreciation, I guess you'd say. Yeah, remember when it comes to airdrops, guys, if you don't remember, like if you get a token into your wallet that you don't remember, like getting an airdrop, or you don't remember the token, remember that scammers sometimes send you tokens to your wallet that look like they were worth something, but when you go to exchange them, you lose access to your wallet. So just remember, if you're unsure about a token, don't just think it's Christmas and you just made an extra $500 or $1,000. It could be a scam. So make sure you check into any tokens that you see appear in your wallet. Okay. All right. HBAR, absolutely. Like if I had to give you 5 assets or 10 assets, XRP, HBAR, Algorand, Cardano, Sui, Ondo, XDC, AVAX, Chainlink. I'm sure there's some other assets that are probably could go in that list, but that's like, if you only focused on 5 or 10 tokens, those are the tokens that I would focus the majority of my money on, because most of those tokens are going to wind up being part of the new financial system, already are the part of the new financial system. Rob, ever thought if swimming with a giant sea turtles? So in the United States, so like in Hawaii, if there's a seal or a turtle on the beach, you cannot interfere with it. Like, you can be arrested here for doing that. So like we were at the beach over the weekend, and we usually we go to, on a Sunday, sit there for about like an hour, hour and a half. There's actually a seal on the beach, and some people were like messing with it a bit, like trying to get near it, and the lifeguard had to come and say, get away from the seal, but can't really swim with them too much here without getting in trouble. Maybe that's different in the Philippines though. Now I have questions. When you take your credit off in exchange, does it cost or transfer to your wallet? So yeah, Paul, a great question, Paul. Depending on the currencies, like sometimes exchanges won't take anything for like a stable coin for some reason or something like that. But normally they will have minimal requirements to take a crypto off an exchange, like minimum, maybe it has to be like 10 of something or 100 of something. And they usually take a fee. That's how exchanges will make money. Yeah, they will take a fee. We're here to teach, Kim. We're here to teach. If you're here to learn, we are here to teach, Kim. I can't get back to the Philippines. My resume, my channel, traveling, my adventures. Man, it sounds like you're all over the place. Yeah, I mean, IOTA is also a good asset. ICP, I just don't research ICP. You know, like Render, you know, ICP, Fetch, or FET now it's called, or ASI, right? There's some AI tokens in there that are pretty good as well. 10K showed up yesterday. My MetaMask wallet of Spell token. I bet you it's a scam. I don't think it's real. I bet you it's a scam. You know, like they'll so like what'll happen is, instead of like you going to like Uniswap or something to sell the token, like maybe the token is only available on some shady website. You go to that website, you connect your wallet to it, you approve of transactions, and then your wallet is drained. That's usually how I've seen it happen. So best thing you can do is just ignore it. Unless you can 100% verify that it's a real token in your wallet. And the way that you could do that is pretty simple. Okay. So like, so whatever the token is, like if you're saying spell, so you could go to like Dex Screener and you could look up spell. And once you looked up, like, let's say it's spell token, which, you know, this I think this is a real token. You would get the contract address, right? So here is the contract address right here. You would add this into your wallet to see if you've already added the token. Like if it says you already have this spell token added, then you know, hey, you know, maybe it's a real token, but most likely it's probably a scam, Jimmy. Just be careful. Yeah, I mean, XLM's great, guys. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I think sometimes I don't say something and people think maybe I don't like it, but you know, I think there's just other assets that I would rather own before I owned XLM, and those assets I mentioned are assets I would like. What island? I'm on Oahu. I'm on Oahu, man. I grew up on Kona. Oh, sweet. They got some pretty good coffee and some ice cream too. LAX is going to get some sleep. Oh, I feel that. LAX, have a good night, brother. You can touch a sea turtle in Hawaii only in scuba diving. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all are wild. Y'all are wild. How do you feel about Render? I think Render has a lot of interesting connections. You know, here, let's pull it up so people know what we're talking about. Hold on. Render. Hold on. There you go. Here. Distributed GPU render network supercharge your rendering with near limitless GPU power. So we all know there's a shortage on GPU power, you know, and to be able to share GPU across the globe networking, I mean, this is a big use case that is definitely something that is under tapped. So, you know, this is actually serving a real use case, and it has a benefit. So I do like Render. Yeah, Ledger lets you put a lot of cryptos on there, Paul. Like Ledger's probably one of the safest, my man. When am I planning to take profits? Very difficult because you know, if you ask 100 people where they think the market's going to end, you're going to get like 50 different answers. A lot of people believe that the height of the market is already past us, and right now we're just waiting to go back down. You know, there's some people believe that the market should remain good to the end of the year. Some people believe that the market will go good into next year. I am going to be looking around very closely towards the end of the year to see if maybe I feel like it's a time to get out. I probably wouldn't sell everything. But obviously if I made, you know, 50x, 20x, whatever it is on some of these assets that I'm in, need to take some money off the table, you know, put it into a stable and try to, you know, buy back when things dip again. But I'll keep you up to date. I do 2 shows a week. You know, you'll know. I'll tell you. All right. I don't really have an opinion on maple syrup finance. I know a lot of people use it. I've never personally used it, so I can't really add value. I do apologize. I used to hold vet. I don't anymore. You know, it's weird. You know, when you're dealing with cryptocurrencies from past cycles, you know, you get this. Cryptocurrency projects are very unique. They rely on a heavy attention by the buyers and sellers of that particular token and engaging in that particular community. And so when I look at VeChain from, you know, like 2 cycles ago, that I just don't see a lot of people mentioning or talking about or participating in right now. You know, I think that a lot of people look at like what a crypto's true top utility is, and they assume that that's going to happen like this year, right? Where like the adoption that you're talking about could take another decade or something like that. So right now you got to understand that buying whatever asset it is that you think has value, it is the speculation value. It's not their utility value. And it probably won't be a utility value for quite some time. So you got, if you understand that what you're buying and selling right now is going to be highly it's going to be highly involving speculation, you need to be where people are speculating the most. And that is like AI agents, AI, DPIN, real world assets, tokenization, utility tokens, ISO tokens. This is what people are most focused on right now. And I think that is where people are going to really be able to, you know, make a higher return, because there's going to be more people engaging with that particular asset class. Let's see here. Question: What's up, Mark 7? Question: What sort of percentage of XRP are you going to sell off? That's a good question, Mark. Thanks for asking. So, if we got to a point, like there's only 2 ways this can go. Well, I guess there's always more ways that it can go, but this is the thing. This is what I'm seeing in my head, right? There's only really 2 ways this can go. One is we're still in a 4-year cycle, right? Maybe it's a delayed 4-year cycle, but we're still in a 4-year cycle, which means we're going to have a peak of where XRP is going to reach before people start leaving the market again and us going back into a bear market, right? So I would be looking around that peak to sell maybe half of the tokens that I have. All right. And the goal is going to be to buy back those same tokens. Maybe if it's, you know, lost half of its value or 60% of its value, I will be able to buy 2 or 3x as many tokens as I sold, because I did it that way. Now, the second way to look at this is, hey, we're not going to deal with cycles anymore. This is going to be a super cycle, and it's just going to keep going up and up and up. So if that's the case, which I don't think we're there yet, right? I would, you know, if I ended up selling half of my tokens and then the market still kept going up, then I would actually, you know, if I wanted to buy back in and ride it back up, I might lose some value there, right? You just got to figure out which cycle you're in. Are you in a 4-year cycle still? Or are you in this super cycle? I just don't think, like, if you had regulation in the US already, right? If it was passed and if it was enacted where it's not just signed into law, but it's actually the law of the land right then, you know, there might be a real possibility that you could have this super cycle, but you don't have regulation yet in the US, and you might not have it during this cycle. So, you know, it's hard for me to think that we're going to have this crazy super cycle when we're not having banks and corporations really buying into crypto just yet, because they're waiting for that regulation piece. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, I'm heavy into XRP. Super cycle. I'm glad you got it, Mark. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you learned it, man. That's great. Love that. Love that. Jen, good to see you. How's it going? What cryptocurrency platform exchanges do I use? So I use Coinbase to on and off ramp money from like the real world to crypto, and then from crypto to the real world. I use Mexi to trade some tokens. I have access to KuCoin and like Apex Exchange and a few other decentralized exchanges. But you know, you don't really need too much out of that. You know, most of the tokens I want, I can either buy on Uniswap, or I can buy, you know, on some other kind of DEX, or if I'm buying, you know, top 100 assets, I can buy them off Coinbase. That's where I feel more comfortable, and that's pretty much what I use. I really hope so, Jimmy. I really hope so. You know, I think there's a lot of really incredible people that have held strong for years, and those people deserve something really good to happen to them. And so I would love to see an XRP super cycle where, you know, all of these incredible people that have supported me and what I've been trying to do with, you know, educating people on this, you know, to see all of those people, you know, have better lives. That's huge. I love that. I would love that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you, Heath. I don't know, man. Does XLM reach mass adoption, right? How much value goes into the ecosystem and the network? I would just be guessing, and I don't think that's going to give you any value of me just throwing out a random number. This is Red Sensei's on a Red Bull super cycle. I know. I like when I talk a lot, I get really thirsty, and something about like a very cold, crisp Red Bull. Oh, I think I used to drink a lot of Red Bull and vodka and stuff like that in my 20s, you know, and I always like Red Bull. Plus, I'm like, you know, Red Bull should be, you know, they should be going into the crypto industry and looking to partner with some people, you know. So maybe one day I'll get on the Red Bull team or something. Monster Ultra, baby. You know what, the Monster, the orange one is pretty good. I don't know what it's called, but there's an orange Monster. It's pretty tasty. Next significant date for XRP. Hey, Tom, thanks for asking. Well, I think we're trying to see what's going to happen with some of these ETFs, Tom. I also think, you know, people are talking about ISO migration, Swift's ISO migration, which is coming up over in the next, you know, month or two. I think a lot of people are thinking that could be a significant driver. I try not to get too married to dates. I have learned over the last 5 years that when you get very excited about a specific date, usually that date comes and goes and nothing happens. And so I don't get excited about dates anymore. So I'm just here, man. Just here with you. Let's see here. What Sensei's knowledge do you have on black pools and how they can retail to try to make money from it? So we did talk about black pools in a previous chat. Okay. Black pools are basically like OTC desks, you know, and so you can buy, you know, over the counter, or you can use this that won't affect the market up or down, buying and selling XRP. So what I want you to understand is this, right? If you own 5,000 XRP, 10,000 XRP, 50,000 XRP, whatever it is, right? If XRP reaches a very high value one day, and you know you have $10 million, $20 million, whatever it is, just an insane amount of money, and you're trying to cash that money out, would you rather take a 10% haircut on your $10 million or $20 million, you know, trading on a retail exchange, or would you rather be able to use a dark pool and get most of that money back? You know, I think there are some good use cases for dark pools and OTC desks. And I think, you know, people can look at it the other way. Like, you know, I'd rather have all of this buying and selling happening on chain. I get it. I totally understand that. I just think in some situations dark pools have its pluses, and then in some situations it has its minuses. So I want to be hack free. Yeah, be hack free, my man. I made 420 Ghirardelli chocolate brownies this weekend. Paul, can't be mentioning Ghirardelli chocolate brownies, especially 420 edition. All right, because you might have to be sending me some brownies, Paul. All right, that's something that maybe you should be sharing with your fellow sensei and other people. That sounds real good. Your code and ring in the physical access, no one can access without it. Yeah, you're talking about what's called. Yeah, don't drive, Paul. What are your thoughts on Jasmy? I think Jasmy is a good ecosystem. I don't know too much about it. You know, I don't spend as much time on other assets as I do on XRP and tokenization, CBDCs, and that kind of stuff. So probably not the right person to be asking about the future of Jasmy. Just wanted to let you know that. All right, guys, listen, I am mollywopped. It's been a week already. I'm exhausted. I got my moderators too. They probably need some rest. So I will see you guys on Friday for a new set of information and news. Friday, 3:30 PST. I hope you will join me. I hope you will support my YouTube channel this week. We are 10,000 subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers. So I'm really excited for that. We're going to have a party once we reach 100,000. Please remember that you're going to be able to bring like a wine or something like that. We're going to hang out, have a few drinks or something, maybe play some games, whatever it is. We'll have to figure it out. But I'm looking forward to that, guys. Take care of yourself. Have a fantastic week. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything. Your time, your energy, your questions, your kind words. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys. Aloha. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. Bye.